Gadget's field trip.
We're going on a visit.
Inspector Gadget's field trip.
Come on, let's go with him.
Inspector Gadget's field trip.
What's that, you ask? What is it?
Inspector Gadget's field trip.
Well, no one wants to miss it.
Inspector Gadget's field trip.
We're going on a visit.
Inspector Gadget's field trip.
Come on, let's go with him.
New places, new faces. Inspector Gadget's field trip.
Inspector Gadget's field trip.
Inspector Gadget here in awesome Australia, where each year millions of people travel thousands of miles to see this country's spectacular sights. According to the chief, Australia's animals are like no others in the world. We're here to explore just what happened to make these animals so unique. It's time to go Gadget field trip. According to my trusty locator map, Australia is just south of Indonesia. Depending on how you look at it, mainland Australia is the world's largest island or the world's smallest continent. Long before humans arrived in Australia, bizarre beasts ruled the rainforests and dominated the deserts. It wasn't until just 40,000 years ago that the first people started popping up. These people were called Aborigines. But we still haven't figured out what made our furry friends so odd in the first place. Take mammals, for example. From China to Hawaii, mammals like pandas, dolphins, and people evolved with wombs. A womb is the warm, hollow space inside a mother's body where a baby develops until it is ready to be born. Because Australia was so far from the other continents, the animals here evolved on their own. So their wombs grew on the outside, kind of like a womb with a view. These animals are called marsupials, and they come in all shapes and sizes. Wowzers! If Australia were to hold the cutest marsupial contest, it would be a pretty close call. Let's head on over to the Featherdale Wildlife Park and meet our contestants. First up, we have the cuddly koala bear, who, believe it or not, is not a bear at all. In fact, koalas are more closely related to the common possum. Like their nocturnal brothers and sisters, koalas sleep during the day. Koalas, on the other hand, only dine on the tender green leaves of a eucalyptus tree. Picky, picky, picky. At night, the koalas park their backside on a cozy branch and become bedtime binge eaters. The average adult eats over 2 pounds of these oily leaves every day. Even my steel stomach couldn't handle all that roughage, which is why the koala has developed its own digestive system. Deep in the belly of this pint-sized koala is an organ called an appendix, which is 20 times larger than the one inside an adult human. It's like a Gadget-sized garbage disposal. Our next cutest marsupial contestant is the charismatic kangaroo. From the 8-foot-long red roo to the 10-inch tall rufous hair wallaby, there are over 40 different kinds of kanga. The most common are the red and gray kangaroos. When they are not napping or nibbling, they can be seen hopping at terrific speeds. A single bound of a strong kangaroo can measure up to 27 feet. That's about as far as the average long jump of an Olympic athlete. Or the stride of a bionic detective. Go, go, Gadget legs! It's time for another Inspector Gadget field trip quiz. True or false? The kangaroo got its name from a misunderstanding. True. 200 years ago, when the first English settlers arrived in Australia, they asked the native people what they called this jumping thing. The Aborigines replied, kangaroo, and the name stuck. What the English didn't realize is that kangaroo in Aborigine means I don't know. The English had never seen anything like the animals of Australia. They were told of big birds called cassowaries, cursed with a bony cap. Scientists are still not sure what purpose this permanent hard hat serves. Sounds like a case for the old inspector. What about a line of lizards named skinks that use their tongues to help them smell? I wonder if they lick their ice cream with their noses. They also heard stories of a yellow-bellied possum able to fly 100 yards in a single glide. But the most puzzling tale was of the peculiar platypus. This duck-billed creature is warm-blooded and furry like a mammal, but lays eggs like a reptile. Eventually, scientists decided this very confused critter was mostly mammal. What about a bird that migrated not with the seasons, but with the sun? Just south of Victoria, on Phillip Island, a strange phenomenon occurs twice each day. About an hour before sunrise, a parade of fairy penguins scurry and scamper along the sand and into the ocean. They spent most of the day diving for food. Either that or they are practicing their synchronized swimming for the Sydney Summer Olympics. The setting of the sun is the fairy penguin's signal that it is safe to return home. With bellies full of fish, they wait for the right wave and surf ashore. Deep in the dirt, by a muddy river in southeastern Australia, grows an enormous invertebrate called the giant Gippsland earthworm, measuring up to 9 feet long. After seeing that, you may want to close your eyes and listen to the giggles and gurgles of the earthworm as it wiggles around in the wet dirt. Wow! Imagine the fish you could catch with a worm like that. Not all animals that are here now are from Australia. Sheep were introduced early in the colony's history to provide wool. Today, the country is still the world's largest exporter of wool. The first camel to come to Australia was brought over in 1840 to carry goods across the difficult terrain. He was such a big help that from 1860 to 1904, over 10,000 more camels were brought over from India and Pakistan. Today, there are so many camels covering the countryside that Australians are selling them back to the countries they bought them from. I hope you've enjoyed our field trip through Australia. We've hopped with the kangaroos, surfed with the birds, cuddled the koalas, and met camels in herds. Go, go, Gadget field trip.
Beak.